Hey everybody, how you doing today? Let's see, my volume's not muted. That's good. Need to put on background music. There we go. Bring the volume down slightly. People were saying it was a little loud last time. Always fighting that. Oof. All right, how's everybody doing this weekend? Or this Friday? About to be a weekend. Cthulhu Lover morning. I guess it's morning for you. It's afternoon for me. We moved to the afternoons. At least afternoon my time. So last time we were working on rendering issues and getting our materials under control. We were able to do that, so that's good. Turns out some bad material data. I've talked to the team. They're going to start working on that stuff. So we should be seeing some improvements there in the next couple weeks. I was going to commit that stuff, but I got paused because it was like, wait a second, these assets are kind of big. And one, I don't know if they need to be big. Yeah. New York Times still waking up. Yeah, that seems interesting. So yeah, I mean, the assets are kind of big, and I was concerned about just checking them into GitHub that way. So I was thinking about enabling large file support, in the GitHub repo for this thing. And I just needed to talk to the rest of the foundation members about that. And I totally forgot to do it at our last meeting. So I just need to talk to them after this on that. Let's see. The other thing I was doing was investigating different. Well, that's what went on last time. In between, I did a little bit more work on rendering, but I mostly focused on getting the 3.8.5 MonoGame stuff done. That was my most important task. So I'm still working on that. I'm very close. That thing will be done here soon. We'll talk about it a little bit more at next week's AMA that we do every month. It was interesting. Cthulhu Lover says it was interesting because I was diving into the rabbit hole in the DX12 backend the whole night. Yeah, the DX12 backend is a rabbit hole. It is. It's amazing how much more complicated the DX12 stuff is over DX11. Going to be sending some PRs with more questions and answers. Awesome. Go for it. We need more eyeballs on that. It's funny, the backends that we have for MonoGame now, the DX11 backend and the backend for OpenGL have been around for 10 plus years now, and they're pretty hardy at this point. They've survived a lot. They've been through a lot of platforms, a lot of shipped games. So they're pretty robust, and the new ones are just not anywhere near that yet. Even with our unit tests and everything, it's not anywhere near that. I forgot to loop my music, as I often have done. Annoying. It doesn't just remember to do that. So yeah, I mean, that was the biggest thing is that. Anyways, the other thing I was looking into was a little bit of, I was thinking about different rendering things that I was going to do in upcoming streams, and I decided not to do it this time, but I'll probably do it the next time. Is I want to try to get some fogging into the scene, and what I want to do is implement something similar to what the Frostbite engine did, called what they called Froxels, which is a fog voxel concept, essentially, where you do something similar to what we do with the lighting. Our forward plus right lighting engine uses the typical clustered space lighting system where it generates a 3D volume in clip space, in the frustrum of cubes, and in each volume we keep track of what lights affect that volume in order to quickly be able to, per pixel, decide what lights that affect this pixel. Well, this is a similar thing where they generate a 3D volume, and in each volume they know what fog affects those pixels. And the idea is that with that, you can then do lots of different fog volumes. You can animate them. You can do a lot of lighting effects with them or affect your lighting with them, but it doesn't require, it makes the per pixel CPU cost cheaper for doing it this way because it's all kind of pre-computed into the volume. So that's something I want to dive into in the future because it would definitely help our scenes to have some at least depth fogging, but some more interesting fogging would be good too, and that would be something to do it. So I was kind of investigating that a little bit. Something to do in the future. The Frostbite guys are always really good about writing papers and talking about the stuff that they've done, and I'm always keeping an eye on their blog posts and stuff to see what's going on with their engine because they do some really cool work, especially in the rendering side of things. So let's get back to this. Let's make sure everything's good here. Yep. Let's share my screen. Oh, so we haven't talked about what we're going to do today. While I get my screen shared, we'll talk about that. So the plan for today is to work on the editor a little bit. Specifically, I wanted to work on that concept of snap points on mesh shapes that we bring in. Let me just run it real quick. The gum crash every time. All right. So I think that doesn't resize very well. That's loud. So here's where we were last time. Things looking pretty nice compared to before. Nice, and you can see how like some fogging here would help a lot, especially if the lights would affect the fogging. It would change the look of this a lot. Get very much more atmospheric and interesting. God, I hate that feature. I need to turn that off. I should hook up my gamepad. Gonna work on that too. I get some time here. So not too bad. It's kind of one note, again, no ambient kind of lighting or anything. Could be better. Let me hook up my gamepad. It'll make it more fun or interesting to work with, I guess. My old Xbox One gamepad. So yeah, so much more fun to fly with the gamepad. And that's our third person view, which is not doing very good when I'm being stuck in a wall. Come on. Okay. This thing has an old mesh on it still, so it's not lit the same way as other stuff. See how small it looks compared to everything else in the environment. Third-person camera's clipping through walls. I need to fix that. Anyways, this looks pretty neat, but it could be a lot better, both in our surfaces and, our lighting, our lighting details and fogging and stuff could be a lot better. So we'll get there. Just a matter of a little bit of effort. So the idea would be is that we want to work on snapping on this. Those emissive points are not working there. I need to work on that too. So the idea is that in our editor mode here, we want to be able to, like, whenever you snap down something, so if I come over here, this is the part that never got connected. Did it? Maybe it did, just didn't work. Oh yeah, I never connected it. So something like this, the problem with it is that, while we can move it around, it's very hard to line up with everything else. So if I take that guy and let's ignore the fact that, rotation is kind of difficult at the moment. I think it's the other 90. Let's get it back to 0. I need to put in a rotation gizmo pretty badly. All right, that's better. Rotate Z by 180. That should, nope, what happened? No. negative 90. Wait, why didn't that work? That's interesting. Do the right thing. Gosh, all this is sucky. I think Z is not what I'm thinking it is. Yeah, I got sucked into the idea that Z is vertical and it's not. So that's probably why everything. That's an undo problem there. To 0. Maybe 90, maybe. Nope, 180. I was right the first time. So yeah, so the idea here is that placing these things is kind of hard. Let's ignore the rotation that sucks at the moment. But lining these up, even with a grid, is kind of a pain in the ass. You know, it doesn't really want to... You have to kind of get in here precise. You don't know exactly where it's meeting up. Especially these are supposed to be snappable parts. So the idea would be is that we want to make it easy to snap things together by making them just fit perfectly every time. The idea was to have this concept of snap points, where at the end of them, you know, the author of the mesh would put in certain points that can be snapped to other snap points. So the idea would be is there would be a snap point on this exit on this part and a snap point on the exit of this part, and we could grab the snap point and move that thing in order to join the two parts together and snap them perfectly without having to mess with it. And that will make construction much more fun. It also makes it possible in the future if we wanted to write a little tool to maybe auto-generate some levels. Things like that would be nice. What language are you coding with? The SC Sharp. This demo's not killer yet. It's going to get there. It's going to get there. But I mean, it shows you the stuff that you can do with MonoGame already, and it's, you know, we're just scratching the surface here. So we're going to get there. And that this room has these backwards pieces that we need to get fixed. A model problem that we need to resolve, but that's for later. Anyways, so snap points. That's what I want to work on today, because it kind of would be a quick thing to get them up in place. You know, the assets need to be modified for it to work, which we're not quite there to do that, but we're going to get there. The team is working on giving me some updated assets that have snap points in them. But while they do that, I'm going to get everything else in place. So let me save this as is. Let's close this guy out. Let's talk about how this could work. So, since we have a content pipeline, you know, we can pre-process things. And this is how this works in here. Let me show you. So, the mesh stuff, not the MonoGame pipeline mesh stuff, but the game mesh stuff. Static mesh, it derives from mesh common. This has all our transforms and everything. Let me zoom in a little bit, make it a little larger. This has all our basic updates for the models in the scene. That includes the environment. They're all models. There's no special stuff other than models. So in this, when it loads up a mesh, let's see, where is it? Is it not in there? Maybe it's in here. It's in here, yeah. So when you load a mesh, we have this. This is a concept that came from the old XNA stuff, and it still works today, interestingly enough. So the idea was like a model's a model, but if you want to add some more data to the model, you can add something to this. There's this tag element in, you know, custom attached object. Skinning data is an example of attached object for model. You know, so basically you can attach anything to this tag object. It'll get serialized and deserialized as part of the pipeline process. And what we did for Ascent was we made this model data, you know, class. It just uses the content, the old XNA content serializer. You have to give it a name and everything, so it's very clear, like where to expect to find the data. It uses this to serialize very specific what the serialization name should be. Because if not, it might use the wrong namespace, or it might use the wrong assembly name, and everything wouldn't make very clear. So that's what that does. But we serialized, a list of collision data, and a list of the layers is the stuff that shows up in the editor that shows us the different layers in a mesh. So the idea would be is that we'd want to add, the data here could be kind of complex. So this is a more serialization data, like the collision data, like all the triangles for collision, points for collision, a vertex buffer that it only uses for visualization if you happen to be visualizing it, so you want to see the collision data. It just builds this vertex buffer out of the positional data and uses it to render. So like that, what we want to do is we add the concept of snap points into the model data, so that any model can have snap points, and we can then visualize the snap points in the editor, and we can use the snap points as part of editing process to move things around. So we want to define what a snap point is, and we want to potentially, and we want to get them going through the pipeline. So let's just start with what it is, I guess. Let's just do, for flexibility, I could just make it an array of vector 3s. I'd rather make it each snap point a class that lets us associate other data to it, because that could be potentially useful. And the overhead of that stuff is not that important. Again, the model data is shared data, so every instance of the thing has the same data. So it's not like a big concern of, am I using too much? Is the data too complicated or anything? So we have these files. I'm going to steal this one. What I normally do here is I open the folder where it's at. There are probably easier ways to do this, but I'm just going to do it like this. Copy this guy. Let's just call it snap point. And this should get added automatically. I'm going to leave it having a name. We're going to get a vector. It brings up another question, is should the snap point be more than a position? Should it also be an orientation? So that's kind of interesting. We don't need to visualize it. At least it's not complex. We don't need to visualize it in a complex way. And maybe it should be. It should be. I mean, in theory, like the stuff that we're going to get from the art team is going to be a transform. So we could literally make it a matrix, because it is a transform. We could potentially associate other data to it in the future, so it could potentially, it could have like other data information associated to it, because it could be a snap point for different reasons, So potentially it could have other data. Who knows what it could be? It could be something as simple as we name the snap points, so there's certain ones for props and certain ones for environment objects or things like that. We can decide something later, but that can be a later problem. We don't need to worry about it now. So we're going to add the snap points, and then we're going to come back into our model data, and we're going to add those in. Yeah, let's do it. Ugh, typing's horrible today. This needs to be set to serializable, I believe. I'm not sure why it's complaining at the moment. It might be because this is just there and not in the tool, maybe? Yeah, because it's not in here. Builder needs it as well. Yeah, so the builder's missing it. That's the problem. So I'm just going to add it in here. This is where we share the same code in here. Let's see, where does it come from? It's in source. Where is it? I forgot where I put it. Source physics. Oh, that's how it ended up. That's probably not a good place for it. Let's move it. That's not really physics. It's just in there because that's where it had it. I'm going to put it in editor. It's really more of an editor feature than anything else. Or is it? Nah, it's not editor feature. Let's move it. It's more graphics, let's say. Yeah, because well, where's the mesh data, I guess? It's just in the root. I'm just gonna put it in the root. Problem solved. Okay, so I'm gonna add this guy back in. It should automatically be added to the other one, but this one needs it to be added specifically. Snap point, add as link. If not, it like copies it or does something dumb. Okay, so everything should build here, I think. Well, I probably didn't want it to do that, but actually, here's an interesting thing. It didn't take any time to build. You're like, well, we changed something. This model data shouldn't it have rebuilt the models. No, it's not gonna. Because the new pipeline doesn't do that. What's happening here? What are these analysis bullshit analysis rule garbage? Ugh, gross. This all just garbagey spam. Hate it. Hate it. Hate that stuff. Yeah, so that stuff kind of sucks. So let's get back to this. So it didn't build, it didn't rebuild anything because nothing changed as far as it's concerned. In the old pipeline, if you just change one line of code, it would rebuild everything, which is not really what you want to do. You kind of want to control when you rebuild stuff. Because if not, it can rebuild everything for any reason, and that's bad. So to make this work without it crashing, because if it loads the old content right now, I think it'll crash, maybe. Let's see what it does. It might crash. It might say, wait a second, I can't deserialize this because this didn't exist. That's not it, though. Let's see what it does. Yeah, it didn't like something here. Yeah. Could not be found, snap point. Content reader, yeah, because it doesn't have a reader for it because it didn't know that it tried to create the object, I guess. Right? I think that's what happened. Let's see. I don't know why I've not been getting like information lately from the editor. Kind of sucks. It's like it's not a release build or anything. I'm not sure why Visual Studio has decided lately that it does not want to tell me information. It's like, yeah, we don't want to tell you any debug info. That's too useful. You're so freaking weird. Now it wants to tell me stuff. It's like when it's in the middle of an exception, it does not want to tell me anything about issues. Anyways, I'm pretty sure that's happening because the content has not been exported with that enabled. So to do that, what you have to do is in our builder, we have this model processor. It has a version. If we change the version, it'll force the builder to build everything. It touches this model processor again. So we'll change the version, hit save, and when we build now, it'll rebuild the models. Because the version changed, so there it goes, rebuilding model data. Now it's a string, so it doesn't matter what it is, as long as it's different is all that matters. So you can trigger when you want it to actually we don't want to trigger whenever we want to have content rebuilding. We just change the version on this. And I think that's better because, you know, a lot of times some of the code changes you're making don't affect your content. And for it to affect the content for no reason is kind of dumb. So having this actually have some control over this, because you're not just rebuilding blindly, I think is better. It was a good design choice. So back in the game, everything looks the same as before, yet now we have these snap point data that potentially can be in our files. So that was step one. Step two, since we don't have models at the moment that do this, we need to fake it. So what I'm going to do is, in the model processor, I'm going to add some fake snap points and everything. So in the model processor, you'll see that it does, there's the collision data, there's the, you know, that it builds. It does this during what? During process mesh collisions. Okay. Let's go. Model content process. So this is the main process. I think that's the root of it. Is it? Process scene hierarchy. No, it's the entry point. Where's the entry point to this? Is the entry point is that process? I guess it is. Yeah, process is the entry point. We can do this by debugging now. So if you're not aware, you can go into the builder here and turn on launch debugger, and I can hit build. When I hit build, it'll ask, hey, do you want to attach a debugger? Actually, it might not hit because it doesn't know the model is dirty. Let me dirty a model real quick. If I come into our platforms, Windows DX, bin, debug, content, let's take one of the meshes. I'm just going to take one of these meshes and delete it. That will cause it to build the content again for that one mesh. So there. Okay, so yeah, that's the right entry point. Yeah, content processor process, that's the right entry point, duh. So here's where we were going to put our extra data. So it builds this model data. What I'm going to do here at the end, I think, because do we have collision data? Does the model have a bounds? I think the model does have a bounds. Yeah. Yeah, it has a bounding sphere, not a bounding box, I don't think. I don't think we do bounding boxes at all. But I can use the bounding sphere, that's good enough. I just want to get something that gives me like the general bounds of it so we can put snap points around the perimeter of it. That's good enough for right now for testing this purpose. I mean, I could hard code something, but I wanted something to work from. So what I'll do is I'll do a hack here. Test snap points. We'll just go through and grab, I don't want to grab the first one because it could be a million of, or a bunch of them. Let's just accumulate a sphere, or can I do that? Let's do a sphere. Nah, let's do a box. Sorry. Need to do this before it associates the tag. Well, not really, but I need to do it after that, though. Yeah, I can do it here still. It's an object, so I can still associate data to that. Is there a... I think it'll grow it automatically, right? I always forget how this is set up for this. Because I could combine. Create from sphere. Right, so what I'm going to do is mesh, rounding sphere, I'm going to do bounds, I think it's merge. Great merged. This might not be exactly the best because it probably needs to make sure that it includes the first one in this. Can we do this? This will be interesting. I want to do. So the first one it'll just do it, and the next one it'll merge. Then we're going to take, after we do that, we're just going to create one for each face of the thing. And that shouldn't fail, so it is really annoying that I can't just talk to it directly, but let's do I guess we're going to take the 4 corner points, get center points on each side of it. So we probably just want the extents. Is there extents? Contains, intersects, equals. Yeah. I always like putting them in parentheses just to make things clear. All right, so with that, I can then create 4 snap points. So we're going to just do it directly. Tag snap points, add new snap point. And I'm going to do center minus, I'm going to do minus, let's see, what's the best way to do that? Let's do it like this. This will be better. You need the half anyways. Center minus 3. What did it look like? Go away, Stribo. Oh, it's not a collection. Duh. I'm not trying to make a collection. I guess I could. I'm being lazy. I should probably just do it the right way. Oh yeah, duh. That's what I need to do. I'm trying to figure out why. Oh. I'm not going to worry about orientation. I'm just going to create a transform like this. What? That's really annoying. Oh no, here it is. What is it not like? Oh, duh. New. Okay. So we're just going to create two, one at positive X and one at negative X to begin with. And then that should give us 2 snap points on every mesh to work from to begin with. So let's make sure my code works. I'm going to step through it once. Again, I said you can change the number to make it compile things again. So I'm going to change it back to 4. It'll rebuild everything. Now that's not a smart thing to do if you checked it in before, but I didn't. So no one's just working locally. I'm going to change it back to 4. It'll force everything to rebuild, and I'll get what I want, which is to be able to debug this. Wait, you know what I didn't do? No, I did that. Okay. Debug, it's going to get here. Okay, it's going through my bounds is null. It's going to set the box. Then it's going to, so it's the only bounds there. So the half size, get my center point, which should be right, n plus half size. And it's going to add 2 snap points at either end. And those are my 2 snap points. Yep, looks correct. Normal transform. Yeah, negative 24, positive 28. I guess it wasn't centered, whatever it was. Right? Doing that right? Yeah, I think so. Yeah, because it wasn't centered to begin with. The center wasn't 0, 0, 0 or anything. It was very close to 0, but not 0. Okay, so that looks like it's working. Okay, I figured there'd be somewhere I'd have to merge the bounds. Okay, so it's building through all those. Just adding snap points through all my meshes. Not that I needed them, all of them, but you know, this at least gives me some test code here that will work to get to the editor side of things. Looks like we had a bunch of people join. Hello, everybody. Ugh. All right, so I'm gonna wrap this all. I like to kind of organize my code, so I'm gonna wrap this all together like this so that it's very clear that this is test. So with that in mind, we're now going to try to visualize the snap points in the editor. So what I'm going to do is we currently have this visualization that we do for picked items. Let's see, pick. Where is it? No, it's going to be in our draw or something, or editor draw. Forgot what I called it. Draw 2D, I think is where it's at. Pickables clear. I forgot what pickables is. Oh, it creates a pickable, which is a point and that, right. So we probably want to add it into this pickable concept. We colorize them based on if they're lights or not. This pickable type is used to drive the editor for moving things. this will kind of work. I can probably hack at this a little bit and make it function. But here's where it gets a little tricky. Like, we have an entity. It doesn't know that it's a model. It doesn't know anything about it. So we'd have to identify that the entity is a model and make that work. So we might want to abstract this a little bit to make it a little easier to read and follow. Yeah, so what's our best bet here? So this could go to the top. It doesn't, you know, it doesn't need to do anything at all if it's the selected entity. This is when you select one, it just turns off the pick points, so that's all it's doing. So yeah, how this works is it creates this list of pickables, which is just basically the position that you can pick, and then later in the code, whenever it goes to, that should probably be a, yeah, let's fix that. We can talk about that as we're doing it. So it creates these pickables every frame. Not that it has to, it could not do that, it just does it lazily. And then when you left click, it looks at the pickables to see if you clicked inside one of those points, those 2D points, because it creates like a 2D rectangle screen space. And if you click in that point, hey, you picked it. Pick the entity, do what you need to do. Yeah, so that's all it's doing there. So what we want to do here instead is we want to add to these pickables, we want to add these snap points. Isn't underscore gizmo a great field name? Well, I mean, yes. It's the, you know, your, I guess, selection gizmo. I guess that's normally what it's called, isn't it? Yeah. It's the typical name. You know, gizmo is what these things are called. So I had to put the word 3D in there. I think if I just put gizmo, it might show this, which is not what we're looking for. But say 3D gizmo, now we know what we're talking about. Man, I love gizmos. They're so awesome. I saw a really good example of one that was like incredible. Like just working on 3D gizmos like this is just an art in itself, making those things great. Yep, didn't know that, did you? There you go. Well, learn something new every day. 3D gizmos, that's what they're called. Because what else would it be called? You know, transform gizmo, like this is what they've called it. I think I got the name originally from AutoCAD back in the day, is where I heard it first, but it's pretty common. Anyways, back to this. So let's get it to work instead of diving. Let's not go too crazy yet. Let's just get it working. So we'll just put another if entity is mesh common. And we know it's a mesh, then we're going to do some special stuff here. We're going to draw and add pickables for the mesh. So we're going to get the mesh. We're going to get its, and we could have it, you know, expose the stuff, but since the model's already there, you can get the tag as mesh data. We're making the assumption that all of them have it, so we have to cast it specifically so that it will crash. Throw an exception if it doesn't have that. So mesh data. So mesh data has our pickables. Wait, what? Oh, Sharp TX. Goddamn Visual Studio and their damn AI garbage. Yes, of course I was talking about Sharp TX D3D9 mesh data. stupid thing. It just added this thing and said, okay, do that. Why would it think I want that when I clearly have a type in my own class that has that? Wait, why is it not? Oh, it's because it's model data. Sorry, AI. I insulted you. I was wrong. Model data. Okay, so snap points. Oh, getting to the var. I like working quickly if I can. I'm going to move some of this work into the pickable. This is a struct. Let's make an instructor for it that takes care of this work. I hate having duplicate code here, and it'll be better if this moves down into here. Oh, that's annoying. Oh, got that wrong. Oh, it doesn't like that. That's annoying. Anyways, that's not the whole thing that we want to do there anyways. Clip space position. So it needs to do the transform and everything. Maybe it should pass in the I want to make a helper out of this, I think. It's the best place to put that. Scene view projection. What's it? Man, it's getting hot in here. Freaking Dallas. In Dallas, it gets hot, it gets cold all the time in different ways. You never know what it's going to be. Check on things real quick. Yeah, our team asking about one models. All right, sorry about that. All right, so let's move this into somewhere that we can reuse it. because I hate having duplicated code. I mean, really, we could do a, we could add it to the scene info. Yeah, let's do that. What am I doing here? Actually, let's do it like this. Yeah, that sounds like a good function. Let's go to it. It's not like here. Okay, yeah. Just for help. That's enough for our internal documentation. And we'll change this to that. That gets rid of this. Right, so that's okay. I'm gonna have it keep drawing the same icon for now, but I think at some point we'll want it to draw like an icon that looks like a snap point, and decide what that looks like. Probably a diamond or something different that stands out. All right, so now that we have this moved, oh, that's really tricky. Why am I doing that? That seems crappy. Doesn't this thing have the, that might be from old code. Yeah. I mean, is that the right thing? Where does that come from? It comes from the viewport. Duh. So it could be, that could be also done in here as well. It doesn't need to return a 2D or point. It can return a 2D point. Maybe less flexible, but it can return Z2 just for flexibility's sake, maybe, but we'll start here. Yeah, damn it. And once things start to click, you really feel like, hey, you know, I'm doing the right thing. See, with this, it'll return the same position data regardless. I wonder if I should at some point maybe. Future may return 3D point with a Z so that you can use that for depth, maybe to prioritize the point rendering or something. It could be important. All right, so when we have our screen XY, it's shared here. We can then use the same function to project the other ones. That's that whole endeavor was to do this. We're going to take the SP transform translation, project it to screen space. Let's clip, skip it. Otherwise, we're going to create. Let's call it XY. And then this is also drawing it. That at least adds the pickable to the thing, but it does that as well. So this should render it, I think. I don't know what color green yellow is. Let's find out. It'll stand out, I think. Okay, so that should do something. That should work. Just realized my chat is partially off screen behind my image. Game running? No. Did it turn into? Oh, it's still debugging. It turned that debugger off now that it's working. Oh, need to fix this. Oh, that's right. I changed this to. I have to call it that. And at least this is all, you know, here. At some point, maybe having the icons here and letting the draw routine draw from here instead of how it's drawing at the moment could be better, but, you know, starting point. So turn on our debugging here because we don't need that anymore. Normal exception. It was piercing. All right, so now he's going to probably add 1 million gizmos to the screen, I think. Oh, we got to one. Interesting. Oh, it's a mesh without a model. Duh. See if it'll let me do it. Yep. Oh, it's because they look the same as other. Well, do they? I'm having trouble identifying them. Like when you see your shadow suddenly. Are those it? Those are it. See those lime green guys up here? Those are them. Interesting. Why is it just on that? I'm not seeing them anywhere else. Is this a transform issue of some sort? I mean, lots of things should have them. Kind of curious where they're at. There must be something a little off here. What is off? Okay, I know why. It's because the entity visit. These are relative to these points are relative to the mesh at 0, 0, unscaled in any sort of way. So it's not taking on any of the entity's transform. And it needs to go through the entity's transform to be in the right space. So what I need to do is take this guy, do this live. What would it be? It'd be this is going to be able to make it multiply. No, wait. Wait, why am I blanking here? Oh, it's duh. It's the other way around. I don't know. I was thinking matrix first. It's the other way around. It's vector 3. Whatever, that works. I think that's right. Looking better. Don't know if it's right, but it's looking better. It's hard to tell because, you know, but at least they're distributed where they should be. Yeah, it sort of makes sense. Like there's one here at the end of this. Again, the bounds are based on spheres, so it's not going to be right. And if I pick this guy and move him, if I can, didn't break my picking, did I? Might have broken my picking. How did I break my picking? Interesting. What'd I do? What'd I do? Okay. Oh, I have an idea. Yeah, that didn't work. Duh. This is the problem right there. Studio warned me about it. I ignored it. That'll fix that. Just any simple bugs. So yeah, those are the snap points for these guys now at the ends of this thing. Again, not ideal placement, but it's at least, you know, how we want it to potentially work in the future. It's like that. Yeah, and all these guys have snap points because they have snap points because they're meshes, and even though they don't need to. And we probably don't want the snap points to We might want to make it like I don't know, maybe like a double selection potentially. Or the snap points need to be a lot smaller unless you hold down something. Maybe that's what we'll do is like, if you hold down a key, it'll show you the snap points. Like if you hold down shift, maybe it shows you the snap points. So that you don't see them all the time. They just show up there. Or maybe it's when you select something, it shows you the snap points and you have to click on the snap, click on the mesh, and then you click on the snap point, then you can drag it. That might be a better way to do it. But hey, we have snap points, they're being visualized. Let's make a quick piece of art just to make them different. Yeah, let's do that real quick. I like doing art as well, so might as well just do that real quick. Set demo. Let's go to our content, assets, editor assets. These are all our editor assets that we have so far. Not a lot. They're different icons for stuff. Let's take my fancy brick. Pretty simple. Sure, let's take this one because it's the biggest one. Actually, just open it in paint.net. Come on. And we will, now we know what size it is. I'm just going to take, create a 3D shape. Let's do a diamond. Let's give it a brush size. That looks good. Fill solid color. Draw build shape. That seems like a good thing to do. And create a layer so I can see what I'm doing underneath. Yep, I dig it. Let's make the center like something different. Yeah, let's do that. That seems nice. That looks like a snap point to me. I don't know if I perfectly centered that, but I'll take it. Get rid of that guy. Actually, you know what? I should have done it white because then I can colorize them. That's fine. That's fine for now. Who cares? Actually, yeah, let me change it back to white. That'll be better. Nah, that's a detail for later. So on my snap point, it's smaller than the other icons on purpose so that it doesn't stand out as much since we're going to have a bunch of them. And then to get my snap point icon, I'm just going to make it part of the editor because it's not a type. We have this icon lookup in here. Where is it? Icons is based on like a type. I guess, you know, I could add it in there actually, you know? Yeah, I could. In fact, I should fix this too while I'm at it. Goes through the creatables and does that. But then I'm also going to do that'll be easy. Can I spell it right? Just because it's easy, just slap it in there. And then when I come down to draw, oh, let the compiler do the work. It'll tell me where I messed up. Hey chat, what do you think? Should this, how should these snap points work? Should they always be on, or should they only be on when you select a mesh, and then you can select a snap point? I think it needs to be a two-step process. That's what I'm leaning towards. I don't have to do that. I'll just do the lookup every time. Who cares? Performance is irrelevant at the moment. I'm not adding those snap points into the pickables yet. I will do that next. Let me fix this to start in a bigger window. Oh. Hey, look, the snap points look a lot nicer. They're clearly differentiated from the rest. So that's great. Cool. All right. So we have our snap points in here now. So let's make it where we can move them. I think if I just add them into the pickables, it might just work automatically. It's because how the pickables are done. So if I just do this, I think it will just function. Which is scary, but I think it's true. Probably didn't even have to do that. I could just edit and continue this thing. You know what? While I'm here, this is driving me nuts. Somebody's setting this thing to a certain resolution, and I don't know what code is doing it. So now that those are just in there, I suspect that if I select an entity by the snap point, it will actually just drag it. Let's take our test tunnel here and try it over here. That selected it and didn't drag it. That's right, because that's just a selection point. It doesn't do any dragging. We could fix that to drag potentially. I mean, the gizmo does the work to drag, but we'll work on that next. So it does select it at least, so there's that. So it's getting it. It is, it should, you know, if we're gonna have them on all the time, okay, yeah. Let's go look at our gizmo real quick. Yeah, let's go look at gizmo. Picked is not empty, and the gizmo mouse state says, hey, you know, we're moving or something, or the gizmo is active. I guess that's what it's doing. Yeah. There's no mouse mode. It's like basically taking different input states here. And these are different. They're not, the snap point isn't really like a gizmo. It doesn't transform on all points. It's just there to snap things to another thing. So it should behave differently than this. Okay, so we might want to It's handling picking. We kind of want to have happen is when you select a snap point. Okay, so let's do a couple things. Like one, okay, so let's reorganize this a little bit. So this is really just, should we draw it? And, you know, should we make it pickable at all? Right? So this is what's keeping it from displaying on our, yeah. It's the right way to handle this. This icon's only needed down here. Just kind of reorganizing this code to where it's needed, and that'll make everything else make more sense. So that all makes more sense now, I think. All right. So I think that all makes more sense. It means that this doesn't interfere with this. So now I'm going to do what that's going to do is when I select the mesh, it will show its pick points versus when it's not selected. So now it doesn't show any of them, but when I select this, wait, what a second, what happened? Why don't I see the gizmo for those guys? What did I break? What did I break? Oh, because it is a mesh. That's duh. That's not. Yeah, we don't want to do that. What I want to do is that's what we want to do. Okay, so mesh icons are back on. So when I come over here and grab this guy, now the pick points turn on. So when you select the mesh, it shows you the pick points for it, or snap points for it, sorry. And then you can click on a snap point at that point. You're just reselecting it at the moment, but the idea would be is that after you do that, you can drag by this and snap it to any other snap point on the screen. Which means that when you do this mode, we need to get all the snap points. So we still need to show other snap points, but probably not until you actually pick one and start dragging. Then it needs to get all the snap points on the screen, and show you all the snap points. So you should probably be gathering all the snap points on the screen at all times, only visualizing the ones on the selected mesh, and then when you drag one, it will let you snap to other ones, which will move the whole mesh at the same time. So yeah, so that's what we need to be doing. That reminds me of something I need to fix here. This is a problem here because you can see how, like, when I drag here, it's extremely slow at reacting, like the whole thing froze. It's because it's rebuilding the mesh every time I drag. I need to fix that so it stops doing that. God, that rock feels so flat. I hate it. Just doesn't have the it's the ambient occlusion missing from it that I need to add back in. We have some baked ambient occlusion that should be in here that's not. Anyways, back to this. So what we want to do is gather all our snap points, and then when we select this, it'll show us the snap points on that object. Then you can grab the snap point and drag it. 3:26. Have a crazy busy day, so I can't go past my stream time, but I want to get this thing done. I like all our colorful lights. Maybe next time I'll work on a better color picker and stuff. So yeah. So I want to start gathering all the snap points, not just selected ones. So I have all of them at all times. I'm not sure what that does. Okay. I could list them as actually snap points, but I think I'm just going to do them, and I could name them later, but I'm just going to do them like this for now. We'll see how this works out. So we can render the snap points later. We'll move this around a little bit more later. Doing a lot of transforms even when they're not. I mean, it's only the ones that are on screen, so it shouldn't hurt a lot. It should be okay. Okay. If it contains the entity, do that. Otherwise, add it to, yeah, let's do it like that. Okay. So now I have all the snap points. And everything should work the same, I think. So this gets into like the editor needing another mode of some sort. So it needs to know that we're in this mode. You might also want to have things that don't show snap points. Like it could be that if we just want things that are meshes to really show snap points and not just that. So I could do static meshes and not dynamic objects. That would probably be better. Which just means so these guys won't show pick points anymore, or snap points anymore, because they're not, and lights won't show it or anything because they're not a thing. But all the static meshes will. We've not implemented any code to like select objects visually. Like you can't click anywhere. You have to click on the icons, which I kind of like that. But you know, sometimes it is helpful. You can click anywhere. You just don't know what you're clicking sometimes. We could have some more work on this to make this better. But yeah, so the idea now is when you click here, it shows snap points, and ideally when you select the snap point, it then shows all the other snap points and gets rid of everything else. That's the ideal scenario. I think this is a visual toggle here. How's the gizmo? So it, on pick, it calls set transform. Because it picks based on the entity. I'm going to do an experiment here. Nope, what am I doing? Sorry, C++ entered my head. So I think that by doing that, I can get it to sort of kind of emulate what I'm looking for. Sort of kind of. Oh, shit, wrong one. God, that thing's loud. So those are the pick points. I think that if I click on this guy now, my gizmo is going to move there. No, I'm wrong. Why didn't it work? Oh, because it's not going through that mode. Oh wow. Oh, it's going through all the things in the scene. Really, that many? Oh, snap points is never cleared. Duh. Oh. That would do it. Thought that would do it. What? I would think that are pickable with the humanoid. Oh, because it doesn't add it. Let me just do this as a hack now. Damn it, thought it would do it. What the heck's happening here? Oh, damn it. Is it doing the same thing again? Fucking A. I did it twice. Sorry, I'm being quiet. It's not in the right space or something. It's kind of weird. The position is very... Well, no, the position's all the way over there. This should work, I would think. No, it's because it constantly resets the transform. That's why. What if I just disable that for a second? Okay. Didn't do what I expected to do, but did something. That was interesting. So yeah, not what I want to do there, but you know, some progress. Yeah, I mean, the problem now is that I need to have a different mode, basically, which the editor has no concepts of mode, so I need to add one. So let's add a concept of a mode. Let's stop this thing for a second. Just mode. Select mode and snap point mode. It is default, but I like to make it explicit. So what we want to do is I think when the selection is cleared, we want to get out of that mode for sure. Now when a new object is picked, it goes back to default mode. No, yeah, when a new object is picked, it goes back to default mode. Regardless of what it is, it goes back to default mode. That's kind of what we want, I think, because that's what kind of sets that. We can also reset it at other points. This is where I don't like the idea of modes, but we kind of need it. Let's do it like that instead. So everything is, if it adds something to it, if it's not empty, then change it to this. This is only called when you're actually picking an object, not when we're doing snap points, is the idea. It's only for that. Snap points come as a different thing. I hate all this garbage that got in there. So that's what that's for. And then when we go to, I guess when we use pick, let's see, where would we do this? The important parts here are when do we render the gizmo, when we don't render the gizmo, when we don't render icons. So let's do if mode equals mode default, mostly just do a snap. I'm going to do one thing, otherwise we're going to do something completely different. Maybe this should be moved into its own. Starting to get too much nesting for my taste, but we'll move that later. I'm going to get all the snap points and draw them. They already have their 2D positions, so all I need to do is take this guy, I don't want to do that, I want to do this. Okay. In snap point mode, it does that. Otherwise, it does this. So how do we get in snap point mode? It's when you pick on a snap point. So we need to know that it's a snap point. So the picks now need to know what type they are. So let's just add a. I wonder if that's safe. Let's go with that. This seems very bad. I don't know if that'll stay there. That might need to go away. Probably calling it type is not good. I'm going to do this a third time. So we know what kind it is. Go to our picking code on pick. No, that's the wrong code I want to look at. I want to look at, wait, no, I'm looking at the wrong place. No, this is the right place. On pick, that's where this is called. It goes through the pickables and contains the point if pick type equals pickable type snap point, do one thing, else this. So here we're going to do node equals snap point. This could break some things. We'll see what happens. Other ideas, suggestions while we're here? I'm open for suggestions. All right, so come in here, I select an object here. Good. That's all good. If I select this guy, we're in snap mode now, and we're not getting some results. Why are we not? Oh, I know why. I know exactly why. Because when it's in this mode, it's already cleared the snap points. So we don't want it to do that. We want to leave those alone. We only want to do it in the case of, and the snap points will need to be refreshed because those are all in screen space, meaning if they're frozen. So yeah, I'll have to move that around a little bit. We'll see. Let's fix this. Right. Oh, now I'm kind of stuck. Let's get out of the editor and back in. Should reset everything. Now turn on the other snap points. So the other snap points turned on, but you see how they're frozen on screen. Snap points have to keep updating regardless of everything else. So yeah, this has to still be happening even in the other case. This might be where the snap points need to be handled as a separate thing altogether. So we're getting to duplicate work. That's okay. Let's just start somewhere and go from there. This can still clear. So now it's still doing that. Okay, good. So now they're updating at least. I do like working with this stuff in C# when edit and continue works, and it's easy to make changes and keep going. Like this coding path is so much easier than some other tools where you have to stop and restart. It's just a lot better. So I need to clear this mode when a pick fails. Okay, I probably just need to have this just do it on a pick, regardless if it's empty or not, or any of those things. Yeah. That's what it should be doing, I think. So we picked, it should be out of the other mode. So there. Snap point mode. So there we go. We got our mode selection happening. So if I select one of these guys, it shows me the snap points for this guy. Again, once the snap points are accurate, like they have ones for the different exits and everything, they're correct, then it's going to look a lot better. But select it, shows me the snap point. It doesn't bother anything normally. You know, I can select multiple things. When I do that, it only shows the snap point for the first one, which I think is what I wanted. Or no, yeah, it only shows the snap point for the first one selected because that's how it's set up at the moment. You can probably do something different though. For multi-select. Or no, it's showing multiples. Wait, is it not running a snap point now? That's interesting. Problem with this thing. Okay, now it's working. Okay, now it's showing all the snap points. And this should actually, this technique should work too, right? Like if it does that and then I select, yeah, it should show the snap points for everything selected. You know, it makes it a little messy maybe, but I think it works because then you select a snap point and you drag from it, you can drag all of it. So yeah, maybe it should allow that. That makes sense. So now it's snap point mode, which we can have special mouse handling in that mode specifically for this. So when you select there, snap point, you start dragging off the snap point, it's now in snap point mode. And the idea is that your mouse would move that object consistently. So I like it so far. I think that's working. All right, let's take it to the next level here. I want to go into process input. Left click should always work. The new state, old state. Why is it doing that? What time is it? I got sucked into this. Oh, it's almost 4. Damn it. Okay, let's go a little further. I'm going to try to get dragging working. Even though it's not, I mean, it's not really dragging, it's going to be snapping. But I want to get something that works, basically. And it should free drag. Like it should let you move in some axis, whatever the axis of the screen is, 2D axis on the screen, but snap at certain points is what it should probably do. Let's do mode snap point else this, but I don't think this is right because we still need it to do this other state down here. Actually, no, I don't think it needed to. In fact, this is not necessary at all. So what we're going to do is, if it's in mouse mode, it's going to do this. If the button state least mode equals default, and it clears the pick. Or I can just do that's what I want to do. So I click here. Everything's good. If I press the left button, I'm in snap point mode. If I release, it goes back to regular mode. Tricky. So next step here is to, I really want to get this to work, so let's see. I want to take whatever the current picked objects are, and I want to move them. If I just get them to freely move, I'll be happy with this session. So what's the right way to freely move it? I need to take the transform of the original pick point. Yeah, what I need to do is where we set snap point mode, we need to capture the initial position, because I need that initial transform position. This is like where I almost need different tools, you know, and like the gizmo should be handling all of this, or there should be different kinds of gizmos. But I'm not in a position for that right now. I'm just going to just do something simple. Yeah. Man, I don't need to do that. I don't know if TD's going to like this. We'll find out. Yeah, I need to just do the continue thing, right? That's it. Why did that say hot reload? Okay. All right, step points. Come on, I want to get this to work. I'll have a lot of cleanup to do to make this, to finish this off, but starting point. If the button is released, hey, we picked something. Otherwise, if it's not been released, then we're still dragging. So I need to do the same thing as the drag mode works. I need to get a 2D translation from the mouse point. So that's the next trick is, how am I going to do that? I think I'm just going to do a 2D point offset from this start points element. What's the easiest way to do this? More Streambo bullshit. Go away, Streambo. Huh. What's the right way to do that? Anyways, it goes through all the picked ones, which we still should have the selection. Well, no, that's not what happens there. It just goes through them and updates the position, updates the pick position, translating the objects, but it does not actually How does that work? I want to do this too. I need it to be a 3D position, so I'm just going to take. I'll just do something simple to begin with. Let's just take the. We'll just take X and Y 2D in, or this the mouse state X and Y, and add it in, or. How do I do that? What's the right way to do it? I need. Not sure the right way to do this. A 2D position or 3D position on screen. We're dragging from that point. Just projecting in 2D to 3D. So we're just doing the inverse projection. So it's like scene view projection. We want there's. What do we do with that? We use this in scene. We want to do the opposite of this. Yeah, we want to transform it by the inverse projection to get it back into, from clip space back into this. So we need to do like, the inverse free projection. We want to transform vector 3, which will take the. Wait, is that what we do? Let's see. Yeah, I need to make up a Z. I'm just going to say in the middle of the scene for now. This is where we need the Z position from the 2D pick to know where it was in depth. And then our X and Y are going to be our mouse state positions. We're going to transform it by the inverse projection. And that is going to give us a 3D position. I'm going to call it that. I'm running out of names in my head. Oh. We want to do that. And this actually has to do the actual final transform and applying it, but I'm not going to worry about that for right now. I just want to do something that is interesting. Oh God, useless. Okay, I think that's going to do it. I think. It disappeared. It's not going to undo since I have no undo happening there. Let's try again. Hey, it disappeared, so it moved it. Probably not exactly what I wanted it to do. Undo's not working. I do that, not move the depth. Wait, that's not even the depth. It's just like one axis. I mean, this would already not. This would be this. I guess that wouldn't affect anything really. Yeah, there's no concept of not moving the depth. This should already, I guess, not move the depth, maybe. Yeah, I think if I just do that. No, this is necessary. Yeah, the transform's wrong. I mean, it's out there somewhere. It's moving around space. It's consistent. You can see well, I'm pointing to the screen. You can see this guy up here moving, right? So it's moving it. It's just totally in the wrong space. So they're out there. I'm sure if I look around, I can find them. That's probably them way out there. Yep. Of course, it's probably like a completely different orientation to me. I can't really, let me see if I can look around, find it. Problem is, everywhere I look, I think it's going to move at a different place. This being like infinite black makes it impossible, so I can't see it, but it is moving around. It's out there. So yeah, I have a bad transform, but I got it to move. So yeah, so getting closer. Something that almost worked. Almost got a full feature done. Man, I really wanted to get a full feature done. That's a nothing. Yeah, unfortunately, that's not working. Let me just try one more thing before I call it. Maybe going to vector 4 is not necessary to make this work. No, I think the vector 4 is necessary. I was just going to take a random shot at it to see. Of course, no undo doesn't make it work at all. All right, so I need to work on this reverse transform to get my 2D point back into 3D space. I've done this before. I just don't remember how it works. I'll have to look it up. If I get my 2D point, my mouse position back into 3D space, and really it's, it's actually an offset from the root 2D point is what it really needs to be. And then looking at that offset in 3D and then deciding where that belongs. But yeah, if I can fix my transform there, then I should be able to move the 3D object around the scene, just like I did before. This needs to do the same thing as this, where it creates an undo stack to move it to the new location. So that on release, it moves it back. How does it? I guess it always does it like that on release. It would just release because the mouse state handles some of it, I guess. Yeah. Oh, it's just moving itself. It doesn't move any objects. Sorry. It just moves its own transforms. So yeah, it needs to do this moves everything interactively, and then the end does a final move to say, does an undo stack, it's this transform action and moves it to the final location, wherever that was. I don't think I have a concept of canceling the movement at the moment in the system, so you can't really escape and stop for transform. You just have to stop and then undo. So So yeah, so that's how it works. It ends up saying, hey, what's the final offset? Because it's always transforming from the original position to what the current position is. And then we let go, let's go. So what would have to happen is this would have to happen so you can freely move. And then what I detect is when one of the 2D, when your cursor is close to another snap point visually on screen, it would then get that 3D position and move it to that position. And that could be a quick fix. I'm behind time. I'm past time. I need to stop. But I kind of want to, let's try it real quick. Let's just try it real quick. Super quick. I'm not going to do any of this. I'm going to turn this off for now. What we're going to do is go through the snap points. And if I'm going to take just want to have a result. Going to do it like this, even though technically that's not what we want to do. Is that right? I think that's going to make it jump to a position. But it'll work. Let's try it just real quick because I want to see some progress. Yeah, I know it was working, but if the snap point feature actually works, that'd be pretty nice. In theory, it should. So I'm going to select this guy. Those are snap points. I'm going to drag the snap point, and in theory, if I move it there, it sort of did something. I saw it move. There it is. It is moving. Oh, it's just moving the whole object to the snap point? Yeah. It's not even exactly right. But you can see that object is snapping around. It's there, over here. Let me move the cursor around. My screen around here. Ugh, come on, thing. You can see as I move it around these points, it's snapping to places. It's just off. But we're so close. Basically, the problem is that I need to move the snap point to this snap point. So I need to figure out the offset to get it to the snap point. I'm moving the whole entity transform there, not necessarily a snap point. But so close. I can get this to work now. Cool. And it's also, changing its orientation based on the snap point orientation, which does not do anything at the moment. So yeah, so super close on this. Awesome. All right. So we're going to call it at this point, I think. So what did we learn? We learned sometimes programmers overestimate how quickly you can get something done. That happens all the time. That's what happened here. I thought I'd have it a lot closer by this point, but it took longer than I expected. But we made progress. So we have a basic snap point system. We need real points from the data, but we're going to get that next. From the model data needs snap points in it so that it actually would work. I need to fix my placement and gizmo stuff a little bit, but it's close. If I get that snapping properly and I get it to, when you move around the 2D screen, it moves in 2D essentially. And then when you get near a snap point, it moves at that snap point, then you're moving in 2D again, while you're at the snap point for a little distance from it, keeps you snapped there. And then as you pull away from it, it snaps off of there. So it snaps onto pieces. I think that would give it a nice feel and would work very well. So you could just grab a point, snap it, and it would snap in place perfectly. And then you grab another one, grab it, snap in place perfectly. That would be ideal. So we're super close on it. I'll see if I can finish it up before the next stream, and then we can then focus on maybe the fogging stuff next time, because that'd be cool to start getting some fog into the scene and do some graphics work, within the limitations of the DX or the shader model 4 stuff that we currently have. Actually, shader model 4 stuff that we currently have, but that's good enough for what we need here. We know we're going to be adding compute shaders and stuff like that into the engine as we move everything over to the new native backends and shader model 6, but that's a little further out. All right, well, thanks everybody for watching. As always, follow us on Twitch and on YouTube. We're always looking to expand our account. I think that we went past 7,000 viewers on YouTube, and Twitch we've been doing a lot better there too. Where are we at on Twitch? We're at I don't know how many followers we're on Twitch. It's not telling me. 100 followers. Oh, we're at 100 followers exactly on Twitch? Crazy. 100 followers exactly. Let's break more. Following us helps us, gets people to know us and see our content. Also, donate. When you donate to MonoGame, it helps us keep things running. Currently, there are 3 of us that are working part-time on the engine, along with contributions from users, which is just as good as a monetary donation, but monetary donations help too. It helps us keep things moving forward. All right. Well, thanks, everybody. We will see you next time. Bye.